Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Honey Sundays. I am Andy, your host, and I'm so excited for today's topic because this is something that I talk about with friends all the time. I've seen it in my work and just all of the things. And it's basically that we can get attached to healing and we can get attached to even holistic healing and but we really forget about the basics and then what we actually do have control over. So it's like a tidbit of what's going to happen. But I want to give you background first. So for those that aren't familiar, I'm a nurse, but I've worked in functional medicine for the past 4 years, 5 years, and I have learned a ton. And also, though, functional medicine isn't perfect, just like conventional medicine isn't perfect. If you're listening to this and if you follow me, you probably know obviously where I stand within my work. However, there's a new take that I also want to share because I think sometimes we can just get attached to things and it can actually block any healing that we're trying to do conventionally, spiritually, functionally, holistically, whatever. It can block things. So, to give you background, what I usually do with clients when I'm working for a company or working for myself is we run their blood labs. So, we do a functional blood panel, see all the things. You can do other tests too. But then typically what we do is we run them through a protocol based on their labs. So you really have to get them to a foundational point. Then you do some sort of detoxification of the gut. A lot of this is parasite cleansing. And then we kind of rebuild afterwards and make sure your nutrients are really good and up to par. That being said, I just had a friend come to me and she's done 6 months of this, trying to get ready to have her first baby. And her program ended probably about 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, she said. And she basically is just kind of like, now what? I've been cleansing and detoxing and doing all these things for so long that when I get pregnant, what else should I still be doing? And I think this is where we forget about how important the basics are for our long-term health and how crucial they are. Not important, but literally how crucial going on a walk is and strength training and having dinner with your family. Like these are all huge and much bigger than we think. And just to give you a side note for her, for women like her, maybe you can, relate to this, but she's going to get pregnant and then she's going to be breastfeeding. So you can't do any sort of detox while you are having a baby grow in your belly and then while you're breastfeeding them after. So, and then depending on how long and how quickly you have kids after that, it's just, it's not in the cards for you to continue to be detoxing. And another part of it is, yes, I believe in these things. I think these are a really good thing to do every so often, maybe every year or couple of years. We've found more and more research that parasites could be linked to cancer. That's a whole other rabbit hole. But all of this is good. Any detoxification is great if your body is in the right space for it at the time and if it's not forever. And not even necessarily detoxing, but I just don't believe, and this is obviously a horrible sales pitch for myself, but you shouldn't need any practitioner, functional medicine, even a counselor for years and years. You can go back to them every once in a while and check in. I have former clients that just get a blood test once a year. They want me to read over it, see how they're doing, what they maybe some changes that they might need to make. But other than that, I don't want you to need me forever. And to be honest, my 2 cents is if you have a practitioner that says, I'll be with you indefinitely, here, sign up for a 2-year program or something, then I really would probably run in the other direction from them because our job as practitioners is to, and this is for fill in the blank many careers, but to support you, educate you, and make you a better advocate for yourself, for you to be more in tune with your body, and for you to know exactly what you need to do down the line. I can't heal you. Only you can heal you. And a lot of the times it's easier than we think. So going back, the basics, like talking to this friend, I'm like, the basics matter so much more than we think. So what we are, the strength training, the walks, watching sunrises and sunsets, having deep sleep, having less stimulation in the mornings and in the evenings, or honestly throughout the day, because our world is so stimulating, and really involving ourselves with community. For example, if you have ever heard of the blue zones, there's many studies on them. This is where people live the longest without chronic disease, and they are thriving, and the common denominators are usually community, walking every day, being outside. It's very, very basic things that these people in these spaces, there's one in Japan, one in Italy, and one in Costa Rica, and then I think there's a couple more. So highly recommend to look these up. Super interesting. But they're not doing anything crazy. They're not having red light 6 times a day and sauning, and I mean, kind of, because they're in the sun and sweating, and so they're naturally detoxing, but they're not doing all of these health hacks that we're chasing after. They're just living, which is honestly, for me, that's such a breath of fresh air, because sometimes it's just so overwhelming with what we have to do and feeling behind, especially with social media. It's like, buy this health hack, buy this health hack. And this constant feeling of being behind and trying to catch up in any capacity in life is not good for us. One thing that I want to touch on that I feel like is talked about a lot is nervous system regulation. At my work, we have nervous system regulation guides, and you can look these up online. You can look them up on Pinterest. It's legs up the wall, it's humming and stimulating the vagus nerve for calmness, it's meditating, all these types of things. Here's what I want to touch on. The nervous system is taking in information literally every single second of every day, all day. Like, there's a park outside my house. I see some people walking through the window right now. My brain is filtering it so that I can focus on this, but I'm still noticing these things. There's probably scents I'm picking up. There's other sounds I'm picking up. And our brain is just a massive filter. So my nervous system is being aware at all times, though. For example, if I heard a scream outside or something else came into my field, it would, maybe fight or flight. If I was scared, it would switch over. That's just how we're built. And I see a lot of even nervous system coaches or people sharing all of these things about what to do for your nervous system. What your nervous system is filtering through are your inputs all day, every day. So what kind of music are you listening to? Is it rap? Is it negative? Is it really loud? There's certain studies on what kinds of music we should have. Does it make you feel good? Does it heighten you? Same with what you eat. Of course, this is an easy one of how do you feel after you eat it? Are you eating in a rush in the car while you're doing something? Or can you actually sit down, let your body breathe, and chew your food? Because that's a big thing that comes up with people is they are not absorbing nutrients because they're not actually chewing their food fully, which I don't think people think about a lot, but this is crucial to our absorption and overall digestion. And then it's also, what is your environment like? How is your home? I worked with a lot of acupuncturists before, and their background is in Chinese medicine. And one of the things they talked about from a Chinese medicine perspective is, how is your environment? Because if your environment is cluttered, then your brain is cluttered. And I think that makes so much sense of when our house is a mess, and we can get used to these things to a certain degree, but have you ever walked into someone's house and it's really messy and you kind of just like feel tight? Or, you know, for me, I love the idea of thrift shopping, but sometimes when I go to these places, I'm like, wow, this is really overwhelming and exhausting because there's just so much stuff everywhere, right? So our brains like less choices. This is why they say with kids, give them 2 choices. Do you want the red gummy bear or the blue gummy bear? Because it filters out things. We just get so overwhelmed with all the choices we have constantly that our brain is just on overdrive. Our nervous system is on overdrive. So that's just something to think about in terms of how to regulate the nervous system, is just take an inventory of what you are taking in every day. Maybe it's not calling that relative on a Sunday when you're actually really relaxed and you know that you're going to get off the phone and feel stressed and heightened about it. Maybe it's you send them a voice memo and you say, I'll talk to you soon, or something simple like that. You don't have to ignore them, but just a different boundary. And most importantly, when it comes to healing and when it comes to getting back to the basics, I would argue the most important thing for us to take control of is our thoughts. Everything starts in the mind. And this is why several ancient religions talk about taking thoughts captive. It's in Proverbs in the Bible, we need to take every thought captive and actually chew on what are we saying to ourselves every single day. Last week's podcast episode that was released was with Bonnie Perrin, who is I'd say a Christian energetic healer. She has a very interesting background, but I would go back and listen to her because basically a lot of what she believes is that our healing is blocked by the lies that we are believing. And what are we believing about ourselves? What are we saying about ourselves? So going back to the nervous system, I'm just going to be really transparent with you guys. Who cares if you're humming with your legs up the wall and then meditating right after? If right when you get up and the rest of your day, you're thinking about how worthless and how much everyone's bothering you, and it's just negative loop on negative loop about yourself and about others, you're not going to heal. And your nervous system is still going to be shot because of this rumination of the negative and what kind of state we are in when we're trying to heal. So take every thought captive, write it down. I keep thinking this thought. Why am I thinking this thought? Dig into it. I would encourage you to write this too, because it's so much easier for the brain to process. But why am I thinking this thought? How can I change this thought? Is this thought true? And most likely the answer is no. Most likely it's something that someone put on you a long time ago, and you have believed it in your subconscious and you have identified with it for forever, and you need to rewrite that narrative. A great, great, great book, The Four Agreements. Highly recommend to everyone, but it talks about how we attach to certain beliefs that are either put on us. Most of the time, they're put on us by other people, whether it's parents, whether it's teachers, even someone, a peer saying you're stupid. Like we believe it, it becomes a part of our identity. You have to rewrite that narrative. Have you ever noticed that really smart people think they're really smart? Because I would argue it actually comes prior. They were told they're really smart. They believed they're really smart. They excelled and they did really well based on this really early belief that someone told them that. Another opposite end one is you're a good girl. You're such a good girl. And then these people become the people pleasers because they have to be that good girl. They have to match to that identity that they attach to. And we need to unravel these because this is what blocks healing is overall false beliefs. So rewrite the narrative, see a counselor. I have a couple counselors that I would recommend. Bonnie is one of them. If you guys want to go back to those show notes, and her info is all in there. And basically look at it every day. Write down affirmations. You have to train your brain and make sure that you're thinking how you want to think, because this all has to do with our healing too. Mindset is so important for our healing. Do you even believe you can heal? Also, just a final note is healing is not a destination. Yes, we can feel better. Yes, we can do the cleanses, but something, I guarantee you, hopefully we all live long, beautiful lives. We are going to have something come up at some point, and it might not even be a physical ailment, but it's going to be a change in job where we get really, really stressed, and maybe that will produce symptoms. Or we have a baby and then we have to heal again, or we have a minor surgery, or we have an injury at the gym. Things are going to come up, and it's going to be ongoing healing physically, mentally, spiritually, over and over and over again. And that's, I think, one of the gifts is that we just keep learning and keep growing in this life. So that's all I have for you. This is a little bit of a big sister talk, but I just want to let you guys know that you're absolutely capable of healing and thriving and living the best life you want, but you have to stay focused on what does that even look like for me? And what am I attached to right now that might be hindering the healing? Because there's a lot of things we can do. There's a lot of noise in the world of what we're supposed to do. And it's really up to us individually of what works for us, what's too much, and what is going to actually help us grow. So thank you guys for being here. As always, please leave a comment. Let me know if this resonates. Let me know if you want me to build upon it. And if you have any more specific questions, also please rate the show, share with a friend, and I will look forward to talking to you soon.